Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you had a great Easter. We are here with another video on the channel. Early thoughts after round 6 now it is, I think. So as you can see on the screen, I'm recording this before the Geelong game just because I need to get the video out. And I just want to sort of go through how my team went this week. Obviously I've got Tom Stewart still to play. My score at this stage is an 1842. Everybody's got Bailey Smith pretty well to play as well. My rank is in about 200 spots. So I feel like a 2,000 score might be a pass score this week. I think there's a lot of people with Reid, Trainer, on field, Lindsay's, Murray's, Davidson's, Garcia's, Max Hall's. So interesting type week. I think a lot of the big targets haven't gone particularly well this week. A lot of people VC'd Nick Dacos, which is fantastic. Anyone that went Jordan Dawson, similarly high score there as well. But this week's going to be a really, really interesting week in the fantasy landscape here this week. So just a quick rundown. I mean, look, Nazai Wanganeen-Miller, since I brought him in, which was against Richmond, he's gone 112, 91, 102, 86. Far from dreadful, but I was probably hoping for a bit more of a pop from a Nazai Wanganeen-Miller. Short and Roberts. Short, probably disappointing, seeing that Richmond actually won and he didn't have a huge game. Again, 2 marks for him is really uncommon. In a game where Richmond are on top. I mean, Vlosten had all the intercept marks, but they obviously weren't going through Jaden Shaw on the way out, which is a little bit frustrating, but did kick a really big goal for them, which means his score would have been dreadful without that plus 12 added to his score. Matty Roberts and Riley Bice, I said it last week, I'm very, very happy rolling with these two. I think long-term for Sydney, they're just going to be their rebounders off half-back with the Blakey as well. And Roberts might not be a 110 guy, but the combination of them is going to be fantastic going into the Suns, Giants, Essendon, Carlton, Melbourne, Crows, Richmond. It's a great run for half-backs going into the back end of the season. And then Zach Reid, again, against West Coast, really backed in that Essendon were going to dominate. Again, he had 5 marks as part of his 8 disposals, which probably saved his score in the end. Looks like he did go into the ruck for a little bit, with no Draper, but you'd assume that a Goldstein and a Peter Wright probably go back to do that job next week for Essendon on Anzac Day. So hopefully Zach Reid can be back in defence and lapping up the points. You might say, Paulie, what's going on? You said you weren't going Sardell Hooley. I was out Friday night, and I got the notification saying Gross and El Hooley were both subs, and I was like, shit, Dacos was already locked as a trade for me already, which was for Max Hall, and I'd already made that move, so I was like, well, someone's got to come in for a Sam de Koning, and I sort of thought, well, if Gross and El Hooley are both sub, who's more likely to do something off the sub vest? We've seen Sardell Hooley when he's been injected early into games that he can contribute. So I went the El Hooley more for the fact that I wanted the extra little bit of cash in the bank as well. Now, it lost me a few points this week. Sardell Hooley probably gets dropped this week. Might not be the worst thing for me because I then gain a red dot in defence so I can do some looping if I need to between Zach Reid and Luke Trainer. But I think everyone's been dealing with these subs this week. So it is what it is. The next one, Luke Trainer, same thing. I couldn't believe it. I'm then fumbling on my Supercoach team because I've been fielding Reid, Trainer, and Bice in my Supercoach team. So thankfully I did have someone left to play in my defence. But for AFL Fantasy, it's really frustrating that a Trainer, he's been so good. 78, 74, 90, and then gets a sub because Noel Bolter's back in the side, which we won't talk about. But very disappointing because his cash was flying. He had a negative, I would have 5 break even. He could have gone up big coin again this week, but so be it. He's the sub. Midfield, I'd say very, very good, barring Will Ashcroft. Very, very frustrating. Again, hard matchup against Collingwood. Bit disappointing, but I'm going to have to make a decision on what I do with Will. I think I'm going to hold him. I think St Kilda, Gold Coast, North, Melbourne, next month, he can still pop off. Really frustrating. He hasn't really made much cash, but again, he's a good enough midfielder where in that run of 4 games, he should go okay. Brayshaw, I love it. Rosie, loving it. Dawson just keeps plotting along. Tough conditions, wet, windy, tough inside contested game. 27 touches, 5 marks, 8 tackles. Could have kicked a couple bananas as well. could have been a big 140 type score from a Jordan Dawson in that game. And I'm very, very happy that I went there at the start of the year. Fremantle, good matchup. Carlton, good matchup. Port's always a tough game. Collingwood will be tough, but then goes West Coast, Sydney, Brisbane and Hawthorn. So it's a bit up and down, but post-bye, you look at Richmond, Melbourne, Bulldogs, Suns. You know, I want a piece of that. So very, very happy having Jordan Dawson in my side. Clayton Oliver, I'm undecided on what I want to do with Clary. I think the next 2 weeks are going to probably dictate what I do before that Hawthorn, Brisbane, Sydney stretch. He probably stays now with that run. He would have been someone I was looking at maybe moving into a super, super premium, someone who I wouldn't want to trade out for the rest of the year type midfielder with 928. We'll see what his break-even is. He hit his break-even bang on. If he's got a break-even of 90, you know, against Richmond, he probably makes that anyway. So not a huge issue with Clary. Chera, I've loved him this year. He's someone I've had a soft spot for in fantasy for a long time. So very, very happy with an Adam Chera. Tommy De Koning, very, very frustrating last sort of 2-3 weeks. You know, 82, 75, 62, really struggling. Hit-outs have been around the same, but he's just not getting around the ground. He's not getting those marks that he was getting in those big scores. So very, very concerned about a TDK. He's made his money. He didn't even get half his break even, which is he's going to lose a lot of cash this week. So 86 was the projected, and he was going to lose 30K. He probably loses close to 50K, goes back down to 950. And unfortunately, we probably don't gain a whole lot out of Tom De Koning's early cash gen, which is frustrating. And we're going to look at some options later on who we could turn him into, sort of assuming his price is in the 950 bracket. But Maxi Gawn stepping up big time for us now as well. 125 backing in from 118 last week. Has only really had that one score where he got done against Jerry, where you'd say, I'm pretty disappointed in that. Goes Nank into Flynn, into Meek, into Oscar, into Grundy. You know, it's a good run for Max, so very happy having Max. Forward of the ball, you can see I ended up keeping Hugo Garcia. So what I was able to edit the trade to get Max Hall in there instead of Garcia, and thank God I did, because Garcia goes and puts another 84 on. Time on ground still very low, but 10 tackles is fantastic, and he's definitely someone who I could probably field ahead of a Xavier Lindsay. So I could do a little. I can't actually do any DPP at the moment in my midfield because we've brought in Nick Dacos, who doesn't have any DPP. So we might have to figure out how we move pieces around. Now we've got like Levi Ashcroft forward as well. But Jack McRae, frustrating, but again, everyone owns him. Caleb Daniel the same, Levi the same, and Davidson. Not everybody has a Sam Davidson anymore, but still looking okay. We knew that matchup was going to be really good, and the 8 marks are very good. Have to look at what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks. It could be that a Garcia who goes Brisbane Fremantle as an inside midfielder might be the better option than Sam Davidson, but we're very okay trying to maybe loop that game if we can. But again, Connor Stone doesn't look like he's getting dropped anytime soon either. So forward of the ball, we're looking pretty strong between Ashcroft, Davidson, Garcia, filling those last 2 spots. So I don't think we need to look at forward trades this week. Again, I'm sick of making defender trades. I think the Reed trainer, I think Bice is definitely locked in as a D5 there. So it's just about getting that D6 slot sorted, and whether that's a Luke Trainer up to somebody, or we look at midfield upgrades. I'm in a bit of an interesting spot where like my rookies aren't fattened yet to where we can really look to accelerate them. Like Garcia and Davidson are probably the closest, but I don't really want to move them yet either unless I can figure out how to flick them into the midfield. So we're going to have to bring in somebody to kind of make it all work. But I think Tom De Koning is the big issue that most people are going to be dealing with this week. I think now with 3 weeks of poor scoring, he is definitely somebody we can look to move on. So if we're banking on him being priced at, say, 950, most people like me are going to have 20 or 30K in the bank because everyone's scrambled to get Nick Dacos in this week. You want to be finding some value in the ruck line, and the first person I'm going to bring up is Matt Flynn. It's hard to want to launch straight into Flynn, but it was nice to see him go 85% and 83%. He has had injuries in the past, but played really, really well against Essendon. Again, 28 hit-outs, 19 touches with 7 marks. Brilliant. Would love to see the tackle numbers up a little bit, but 97 against Essendon, albeit against Draper by himself and then Peter Wright. Might be an inflated score, but if he can go 85 priced at 63, I think that's good value. He goes Meat, Gawn, Nank, Marshall, Rob, Stanley, Jerry, and then probably TDK and Pitney, but I think he could be a really good option. Someone else I'm looking at priced at 860, so 100k-ish, depending on how big Mickey goes today. With the 89 break even, he won't change too much. He's someone I like a lot. I'm being intrigued to find out what happened. He didn't. In those 60, those 2 games there, he still had big hit out numbers. He just wasn't getting the ball heaps. He's not a ruckman who typically goes and gets heaps of the pill, but you can see in the games where he's scored well has been the tackles. So against Carlton and Essendon, he had 2 and 1 tackle. Now, whether that's because Hawthorn won those games comfortably, we'll have to wait and see. I want to see how he goes today. But against Jordan Sweet, who is hard to score against, he kicked 2 goals, so you probably take those scores out. But again, if Meek priced at 86 can go and contribute, then it's definitely doable. Jordan Sweet had a lower score against Grundy, but goes Jerry, English, Rob, De Koning, and we played Darcy Jackson. I don't know if I can buy into Jordan Sweet as well. I'm just not huge on the rucks, which is what's really frustrating me. Everyone's talking about Kieran Briggs. Briggs goes and puts up a 39 against Riley O'Brien, again in poor conditions, but had only 13 hitouts. So in a game that was highly contested, really, really struggled, had the 7 touches, gave a few frees away. I don't think you can go buying into a Kieran Briggs either. So when you start looking at the options here, you start going, there's actually not a whole lot here. Rowan Marshall drops to 52. His break even already was 145. Going into Oscar McInerney. So, the ruck line is really difficult. Nank, break even of 122, drops to 66. So I feel like wherever you go, there's concern. Jared Witts has been really good this season. Again, he hasn't got that monster game in him at the moment. And he's just someone you just don't want to buy into. So I feel like if you're going to make a TDK move, it is almost Flynn and see how it goes. But I don't like it because you're going to be dealing with Matt Flynn at some point this season as well. Do you just ride the cash with a De Koning? I'm not 100% sure on that as well. Now, I don't know if I go all positions. Can I go this round? How do you go so if you go last round, so that's Whitfield. He definitely didn't put up he did put up a 143 against the Crows. There you go. Had 10 marks and 2 tackles. So this is this round scoring with Sanders, Vlosten, George Hewitt, Nick Martin as an option. Again, 114 break even. He's gone back-to-back 120s. He played 100% time on ground, 12 marks. If you go on a forward, I think Nick Martin is worth paying up for. He's just playing so well for Essendon at the moment. Obviously, you've got Petrarca, you've got Jason Horne-Francis, but they just don't have a 120 ceiling. And Nick Martin can definitely go and average 110 on the fly as well in good matchups. Now, granted, he's played Melbourne and he's played West Coast, and they've allowed him 11 and 12 marks. I don't see Collingwood allowing Nick Martin to just run around and do what he wants and take double-digit marks. But he's just someone who's on the ground all the time. 95, 97, 92, 95, 100% time on ground. He has options. He has avenues for points. He's kicking goals this year. He's pushing forward. He's playing. He's not just sitting at half back and just racking it up there. He's getting up and down the ground. I really like Nick Martin as an option. He's obviously going to be turning into making some cash now as well, but sub 1 million could be an option that we look at forward of the ball if we can sort of take someone all the way down. If we think Luke Traynor, thanks for coming, mate, we're going to put 300k on your head, and then you put that same 300k on a, Levi Ashcroft, who's already at 600. If you can just make enough to get there, then I'd say, yep, send it. He could definitely go to a Nick Martin. He's definitely going to be a top 6 forward. There's no world where I see him not going top 6. Marcus Bontempelli, break even of 121, goes 119. We're not going to get him much cheaper. I don't think we will get him cheaper at some point, but would be very keen on Bont after a few weeks to see how he's going. Someone else who my eye's been on for a long time has been bloody John Noble. They didn't have that buy early. I would have probably started with him and ridden that 66 because since then, 117, 82, 98, 113. I don't think you can buy into him with Sydney and Brisbane, but he's just playing so well for Gold Coast. They clearly want the ball in his hands, and it's really good to see that he's, getting right involved. He's had multiple games with 20-plus touches as well. He's had 27, 28, 20, 29 and 19. So he's pretty much gone almost 20 disposals every game. The mark numbers are just good, 8, 4, 6, 10. I think there is some ceiling scores to come with John Noble, and they haven't really played at home. That's the key. They've only played the one game against the Crows at home. So I feel like when their fixtures swing, so they're at home, then they're the Gabba, then they're a couple in Darwin, and then they sort of start their run where they start playing at home. But I think this stretch here at the back end where they go Melbourne, Collingwood, Brisbane, Richmond, Giants at home at the end of the season could be worth a look. Riley O'Brien wouldn't be going there. Matty Kennedy wouldn't be going there. Setterfield, Farrell. Like these guys that have scored well this week. Jason Horne-Francis goes and drops a 105 against Sydney this week after 100. So he's gone 300s in a row. Again, he goes North, Bulldogs, Crows, Geelong, Freo. It's a great run for Port Adelaide again. He is a lot cheaper than a Nick Martin. So if you can't get to Nick Martin, I wouldn't have any issues with you going a Jason Horne-Francis as well. Tom Green, someone I'm looking very much at as well. Break even of 102, so he's going to stay in that 1.02 million bracket. There are a lot of options here. Petrarca goes and puts a ton up for the first time this season, second time this season, back-to-back tons for him. Goes Richmond and West Coast at 879 again, so another cheap forward option. So it's good to see that we've got a few forward options popping up, and that's sort of the early trade plans for me. I'm not sure what I'm doing quite yet. I will have a trade targets video out either tomorrow or Wednesday to see how things are shaping within the community, see what avenues people are going once the game opens up tonight. I'll have a bit of a play around, but this is probably the first week this year where I'm a bit, I don't know, because yes, I've got a 36 on field with a Zach Reid, which obviously is not ideal, and maybe the easy option is do you just go and find value in a defender. So if we look at defenders, I wouldn't mind looking at sort of 800 in this bracket here. So a Lockie Ash, again, has gone 125, 63, but then 195, 113, 118 with a 79 break even. He's going to be well into the 900s this week. Probably can't go there. Again, Johnny Noble, I like, but has he gotten away from us? Is the fixture run good enough with Sydney, Brisbane there? Probably not. A Bailey Dale just hasn't really done it this year at all, and I can't really trust him too much. A Blakey, I wouldn't go near. Salem, I mean, if he's your D6 or D5, it's not the worst. But again, I don't want to be buying into it. Jordan Clark's not got the same ceiling, hasn't popped 100 yet this year. I don't like these areas, is what I'm trying to get at here, guys. Is a Dan Rioli, you can't go there. A Bergman, you can't go there. You know, whether a Sicily goes off today and goes back-to-back hundreds, maybe with that, you know, West Coast, Richmond, Melbourne run, could do that potentially. Again, we've got to see what Tom Stewart does. If he pops a stinker, then it might be time for Stewart to go, but I doubt it. So let me know what you would do in my position in the comments below, because I'm going to be playing around with some different combinations this week. Again, it's probably going to be a downgrade, upgrade somewhere in my team. If I had to give you a percentage, I'm probably looking 33% likely to go into that forward line. And probably 40% looking at Tom De Koning. But again, I'd have to do some deep diving into the ruck line. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you smash a thumbs up on it and subscribe to the channel. The subscription numbers have been fantastic lately, and I've really appreciated everybody who's gotten in the comments and engaged with the videos. It's been so good, and it keeps inspiring me to keep pushing. So make sure that you support the channel in that way, and we'll keep pumping out the content for you guys. Hopefully after Tom Stewart pops 130 today, we're inside the top 4K. You never know. But we are slowly creeping our way back. We were only 25K after round one, so we're moving up in the rankings. So thank you once again, and I'll see you guys very, very soon for another video this week.